Hello everyone, this is Navila Zaman, and in today's video we are going to talk about supply in economics. In the last video we have talked about demand, which was explained by Aretha Hawk. So if you haven't watched that video, please watch it before watching this video. And let's get started. So this may have happened to you when your father or your mother went to shopping with you and you have seen them bargaining with the shopkeeper. Now, what actually happens in that scenario is that you want to keep the price as low as possible, and the seller wants to keep it higher in order to get more profit. So, the higher the profit is, the more the seller is willing to sell the product. So, we can say that price is directly proportional to supply. Now, the definition of supply stands as supply is the willingness and ability to sell a product. Now, supply is directly proportional to price. Directly proportional is when price increases and so does the supply. The more money that the buyer is ready to give to buy the product, the more the seller is going to keep producing that product, since he is going to earn a greater profit. In the previous video on demand, you have seen that demand is inversely proportional to price, because the less the price is, the more you will be interested as well as have the capacity to buy that particular product. But in the case of supply, supply is directly proportional to price. In the diagram, you can see that the left one is what indicates the proportionality of supply, which is directly proportional. And in the right diagram, you can see the proportionality with demand, which is inversely proportional. Now let's talk about individual and market supply. So individual supply is the supply of an individual farm, and market supply is the total supply of all farms in the industry. The market supply is basically calculated by adding every individual supply, and the aggregation of the supply of each individual farm gives the market supply. This is very easy to understand, so I will not discuss more of it. Let's talk about supply schedule. So a supply schedule is a table that shows the quantity supplied at different prices in the market. Basically what it does is it records the different quantities which can be supplied at different prices, and it is shown in the form of a table. Now this is more important when we have a demand schedule too, and we can find the equilibrium where supply and demand are equal. So we can find the equilibrium price of the market. We are going to talk about equilibrium in the next few videos, so stay tuned for that. Now, one of the most important things to learn in supply is extension and contraction in supply. Now, again, as with demand, a change in price of the product will cause an extension in supply, that is increase in the quantity supplied, or contraction, that is decrease in the quantity supplied. Now, as we saw in demand, it was a falling price that caused an extension and rising price that caused its contraction. In supply, it is, however, the exactly opposite, because price is directly proportional here. And in this supply, this time, a rising price will cause an extension in supply. Let's look at the definition of extension in supply. A rise in the quantity supplied caused by a rise in the price of the product itself. Now let's look at a scenario. Imagine that you are a seller. So when the prices increase, you can make more products because of the higher money that you now have. And you will also be willing to do so because you are going to get more profit. So as the price increases, so does the quantity supplied. As in contraction in supply, in the diagram, you can see that as the price rises, quantity supplied increases as well in extension. But in contraction, you can see that as the price falls, quantity supplied decreases as well. Contraction in supply is a fall in the quantity supplied caused by a fall in the price of the product itself. When the price falls, as a seller, you will be less willing to make a product because it doesn't give you enough profit. So you will move to a product that gives you more profit, so you will be willing to make that particular product. But in contractioning supply, you do not get enough a profit, or the buyers are not ready to pay enough price for you. So you are going to decrease the quantity supplied. Now you have to remember that extension and contractioning supply are all movements along the line. That means that there are not any shifts in the supply curve. Now, in the next few videos, we are also going to talk about the conditions of supply under which the supply curve will shift inward or outward, and that is one of the most important things that we need to realize or understand in both demand and supply. So thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope that I can make you understand what is supply, extension and contractioning supply, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you.